Education on Business and Finance. I'm your host, Nicole Pride. So today we are talking about how to raise smart money kids, or I should say smart money kids. So whether you're a parent like myself or an older cousin, auntie, or uncle, you want to listen to the tips given to you today for the young person in your life. Sidebar, if you don't have a young person in your life, consider this an invitation to identify someone that you can mentor. So, here to give us all the gems on how to raise money smart kids is Holly Reed. She is an award winning author, speaker, and certified financial education instructor. Holly is the founder of the Master Playbook. It is a financial education and wellness company, and she is also the author of Teach Your Child to Fish: 5 Money Habits Every Child Should Master. Bottom line, as a personal finance advocate, Holly is on a mission to help families break the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. And in her words, to create a legacy worth leaving. So welcome, Holly.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. This is going to be so good.
Yes, this is a great topic, and I know so many people can benefit from this. And like I said, I'm a parent myself. I have one in college and a freshman in high school, and I'm listening with all ears today. So thank you. So let's start at the beginning. I know that your personal story, you weren't always the financial savvy person that you are today, right? And so you did learn the hard way a little bit. So if you can share with us how you went from being in debt to being a financial advocate and author.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those who've never met me before, I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, and I grew up the youngest of 4 girls. So, my parents did what most parents do, right? They teach and they told us everything that they knew about how to become financially successful, financially well off, with education being a cornerstone in that story, right? And so, by the time I was 23, I had met their high expectations, right? I went to North Carolina A&T. I graduated with honors. I bought a home because that was something that my dad really encouraged me and my sisters to do. And I was working for one of the top public accounting firms in the world after I graduated. And I was doing all the things while my parents had given me great money advice. I also fell prey to doing exactly what our America teaches us to do, right? So our America teaches us to live above our means, to not save a dime, to think only of our current state, right? What are we going through right now? And so with doing that, I accumulated a bunch of debt, student loans. I had a mortgage, right? Auto loans, credit card debt, the entire gamut. And specifically, what happened to me is the dot-com bubble burst. And if you live long enough, you will see the ebbs and flows in the economy and experience it for yourselves. But this was my first taste, Nicole, of kind of hitting a financial rock bottom where I just wasn't prepared. And more than anything, I felt humiliated. I was hurt. And so I was going to have this courageous conversation with my parents to let them know that their daughter just lost their job, and can you help me while I try to find something else? And I'll tell you, in that me trying to frame it and pitch it just right, and trying to get over my shame of not being prepared, of not having saved anything, that's when I knew I needed to do something different. And so I started reading everything I could. I started back then, the gurus back then, Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, those are while I was following some of that advice, now that I'm older and wiser, some of those things I absolutely would not recommend today. But I was trying everything I could, and I managed to claw my way out of over $30,000 in debt. And once I achieved that milestone, I started preaching the debt-free gospel. right? I wanted everyone I knew, everyone I didn't know to experience what it felt like on the other side of credit card debt, what it felt like on the other side of student loans, which is why I am such a proponent and an advocate for what Dfree has built, the community that is around becoming debt free, because often that is the hindrance in us saving and investing. That's the hindrance in us giving our kids a financial head start. So it really starts with us managing our own finances. And it's my story too, right? It's what
Yeah.
propelled me into this space to become a financial educator, right? And to do the work that I'm doing today.
Oh, Holly, so your passion is just like exploding right now. Like we can tell that this is your life's mission. So this is awesome. And so I'm curious, were you a first generation college student or did you?
I,
Yeah.
I was. So
And
I was first generation.
And so I find too, for those who may not have all of the financial education and experience, that's like a major milestone, right? So you graduated from college, you had maybe this higher income, and you thought like you've made it, right? And
Right.
so not realizing if one issue should come up, a challenge like losing your job or some other challenge, how it would bring to light that you really weren't as financially secure as you thought. And so I really appreciate you too talking about the shame. And we're here to let anyone know who may be in that situation to let go of the shame and
Yep.
be inspired by your story, because
Right.
there is a way out. And that's what D3 is all about, is giving folks the step-by-step guidance and bringing experts like yourself on to be able to get the resources that they need to get where they want to be. So this is so great, so awesome. So, okay, so you are an author. I see your book behind you. What was the inspiration for that? And tell us about the book.
Yeah. So once I started on my journey and I was trying to share and just find the words and the platform really to show other people that, one, this is a common financial pitfall. There are too many of us making the same mistakes with money. And my first idea, honestly, was I wanted to write a children's book, because what I thought to myself was, okay, Holly, what is the solution? How could I have avoided being in that place? And while my parents gave me lots of money advice, most of the money advice my parents gave me, it was all about what not to do. Holly, don't spend your money over there. Holly, you
Mhm.
shouldn't be spending your money on that. You shouldn't be focused on these things, right? And so what I found was missing was, what should I be doing? And so what I did is I wrote a book targeted to parents about what we should be teaching our kids about money management before they leave the nest, right? It's not all about the don't do this, don't do that. It should be more framed in what should they be doing? Why should they be doing it? And then let's talk about ways that you can actually start practicing it while they are still under this safety net of mom and dad or grandmother or rich uncles and rich aunties, right? So, what are the things that we could be pouring into them, having them practice? What are the money conversations we need to start with them so that they are better off and better equipped for when they really are out on their own?
Yeah, no, that's excellent. And people they share and educate based from where they are, right?
Yeah.
So the info that they had, which was, basically don't make some of the same mistakes that I've done, and don't do this and that. So you can find if you find yourself teaching in that manner, we're giving you some new tools today. So, Holly, tell us, what are some of the tips that you reference in the book that people can take away today?
Absolutely. So the five money habits are: first, work hard and be rewarded. You can change work hard. Some people get offended. They're like, work hard. I don't want to teach my kids to work hard. You can say work smart, right? The goal is for our kids to make that association between you have to do something in order to get something, right? So you have to work. You have to work to be rewarded. The second money habit is all about saving first and consistently. The third is spending wisely and consciously. The fourth is using credit responsibly. Listen, we can talk about that all day. And then the fifth is giving generously. And so to me, these are like the five building blocks to a solid financial foundation. So once we feed them and introduce them to these different healthy money habits, they will be off to a good start. So I'm happy we can dive into some of these.
Yeah, so you don't have to give your whole book away, but let's dig into at least like two of them. That's good, you know.
Okay.
I
All right.
saw
Well,
Go ahead.
yes. So one of the great things, I'll start with the one that I think is the most difficult to master, right?
Okay.
And that's saving. And saving money is probably one of the more difficult money habits, really because it requires discipline, it requires self-control, it requires our kids to practice patience. And let me tell you, when we live in a consumer society where you can literally press two buttons on the phone and the food is there in 15 minutes, or you press three buttons and the package arrives the next day,
Yeah.
it can be really a hard concept for our kids to understand delayed gratification.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really what saving and investing is all about, is delayed gratification. It's putting things away today that will benefit you in the future. And as kids, one of the more difficult concepts is, planning and preparing for your future self. What do you want in the future? What's coming down that you can't see, right? And so it's something that we have to start practicing with our kids early on so that they can build that muscle, so that when they are earning money consistently, or when they're getting money for
Birthday.
Christmas or birthdays or graduations. Graduation season is coming up, right? And people love to send our kids or post their kids Cash App. So what are you going to do when they start getting all of that money? They need to know exactly what to do. And so it's a great opportunity during these life milestones, their life milestones, right? Getting their driver's license, going to the prom. These are milestones that they're going to remember. It's going to stick in their brain. So these are also awesome, great opportunities for some teachable lessons to be had when it comes around money, budgeting their money, saving now for that prom or that event coming up either this month or the beginning of May, right? So just talking to them and helping them think through what's coming up so that they can start saving for it.
Yeah, those milestones are big. And would you recommend having the child pay for some of the things? So, for example, for prom, maybe the parent doesn't get everything, but perhaps the child pays for the shoes or the ticket or something like that.
Right. And so a lot of times our kids are so expectant because they just have no clue how much stuff costs.
Right. Yeah.
If you're planning for prom, just a great example, because that's one of the seasons we're in, have your child write out, make a list of all the things that they are going to need for prom. You got the dress, you got the hair, you got the nails, the shoes. Some people rent cars. Some people want to go out to dinner. There might be an after party, right? So write down all the things, the tickets for the prom, the pictures. People are going all the way out these
I've
days.
seen they have photographers with them and everything. It's a thing. Yeah.
Yes. Have your child make a list, have them estimate the cost, and then that's an opportunity for you guys to come together, help them think through what are they missing. Are the costs that they've written out reasonable? And then you can go through. If you are a parent where you want your kids, you're like, nope, I'm not paying for that, but you can spend your money on this, right? Or yes, I'm happy to pay for this. Or your budget is $200. Now let's see what you can do with $200. See how would you allocate $200 for this event, right? So help making them an active part of the process is so important because it gets their wheels turning. And then some of them, I was like, some of this stuff, if my parents asked me to do it, some of this stuff wouldn't be on my list because I'd know better. Because I know it'd be an automatic no, right? So helping them think through those things helps them prioritize their spending, understand how much things really cost, and if they don't know, put them on assignment. Go research. Go find two vendors offering the same service, and which one would you want to go with? So it's an awesome opportunity.
So we have Samantha. She has a question. She says, "This is great, but what should we be doing? I still need to learn what I should be doing as an adult." So I think one of the things that Holly just mentioned is working with your child to be more conscious about how much things cost and inviting them into the process of developing a budget for the things that they want. So that's one way. But if you can give us another example of what parents can be doing, Holly, that would be great.
Yeah. So other things that you could be doing is if you are in a situation where you know you can only contribute so much, be
Mhm.
upfront and vocal about that. Hey, I can only contribute so much. Let's brainstorm some other ways on how you can make some money if this isn't enough, right? So, is there a business they could start? Are there some services that they can do? Can they take extra hours on to a job that they're working? Can they do a campaign with family members to help them find the money to have this experience that they want to have? And you'll find out really quickly what's important to them, right? You'll find out really quickly how important this is or this isn't to them by asking them to take ownership of some of the things. Another great way that I've seen parents do, again, it's just to make sure the child has some skin in the game, especially if they're earning their own money or they have the capability to. Because let
Mhm.
me tell you, our kids are so smart. Many of them are entrepreneurial minded, and so they have skills and talents where if you just support them, nurture it a little bit, they can put some things in action to earn the money, to have the experiences and the things that they actually want. So I encourage you to do that. And hopefully, so skin in the game. So say if you once you guys pull together how much everything is going to cost, the total cost comes up to 250. You can make a deal and say, hey, if you save 50%, I'll gift you the other 50%. Or you save 30%, I'll gift you the 70%, right? So
Mhm.
it's just allowing them to have some skin in the game so that they aren't just spending frivolously, and they have that mindset around, this is not a all, get whatever you want type deal.
Right, yeah. So I'm sure many parents have said, money doesn't grow on trees, right? So this is really showing them and getting them to use those muscles that they'll have to use later in life.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
starting now with budgeting, starting now with working toward earning money. And I love that concept. It's almost like with your investments, right? Matching, right? With your 401k. And so you put money in and you as the sponsor will put money in. So I love it. That's great. And so one thing though, what does I was just a little curious, what does the reward look like for kids at this point when you're talking about saving and giving them rewards for the savings?
Yeah, and so we all know if you've been in any conversation with parents, you have parents who are for allowance, you have parents who are against allowance, but allowance or being paid is one of the first rewards that our kids typically think of, right? And so if you are a parent that's for giving an allowance, right? Here are my tips for you. If you are for giving an allowance, my tips is it needs to be paired with some responsibility and some accountability, right? So if they are earning money, because I'm old school. My parents, there were things that we were just responsible for, chores we were responsible for, where you weren't going to get paid for it. That's your price for being in the household. And honestly, all kids, all teenagers should have something that they are responsible for, that when they complete it, it helps the entire house run a bit smoother. But a tip I usually give my kids are, I say, hey, think about the things that your parents may already be outsourcing. What are the things they are already paying other people to do? And could you ask them to suspend that service and you do it for them instead, right? So
Mhm.
what could that look like? That could look like yard work. That could look like deep cleaning around the house. That could look like organizing the basement or decluttering the basement or the attic, right? What are things that we as adults are already paying people for? And I'll give you a good example. My husband loves to keep the cars clean. All right. So much so that we pay a monthly subscription to a local car wash, right? For the right to go at any point in time and run our cars through the car wash. Now, if my bonus son was still living with us, that would have been the perfect opportunity for him to say, hey, can y'all suspend the subscription? I will wash the cars and you pay me that subscription fee instead, right?
Mhm.
So that's just one example, but I'm curious for those who are watching, put in the chat what else comes up for you. What are some other examples that come up for you? And then hold them accountable, because they can't do a poor job because you're paying them. But think about the things that they can do that would be above and beyond their normal activities, and that's when I become a big proponent of paying your kids an allowance, right? Other rewards could look like, the whole skin in the game that we just talked about, the savings match. I match your efforts, right? Or I
Mhm.
meet you halfway, or I meet you more than halfway based off of your kids' resources, their abilities. You know them better than I do. So whatever you think would work best in your household, you just have to get them motivated, right? Oftentimes, and so that can give them some skin in the game. And
Mhm.
not all rewards need to be monetary, Nicole. It could be, more screen time for the littles, right? It could be their favorite dessert or their favorite meal, or it could be having friends over or going to a concert that they really wanted to go to, right? So it doesn't always have to be exchanging dollar for dollar. It could also be other things that that they would enjoy and appreciate.
Yeah, you have to know what's important for your child, right? As you talked about motivating them. Can you tell us what is the target age for your book?
Yes, so the book is targeted to parents with kids between the ages of 4 and 18, right?
Okay.
So whether you have kids that are 5, 6, 7, 13, 14, 17, 18, at the end of every chapter, I actually give recommended activities, things that you can do to help your kids practice the money habits, each of the money habits that I cover in the book. So thank you for asking. Somebody says, does your book list appropriate task rewards based on age? It doesn't necessarily list, you decide what's appropriate, but it does give you some ideas on what some of those rewards and tasks are. And like I said, in those recommended activities at the end of every chapter, you'll find age appropriate, whether they are young, middle school, high school age, that you can do with them to reinforce the money habits that we talk about in the book.
Perfect. Great. And so, where can our viewers find your book?
Yes, you can find our book on my website. If you go to themasterplaybook.com, you'll see a shop area. You can purchase it from there. Or, of course, you can find it on Amazon or anywhere books are sold.
Okay. Excellent. This is a good segue. Talk to us about the Master Playbook. So, what is that all about?
Yeah, so we are a financial education company, right? Our mission is really to equip this next generation to master money, but more importantly, to empower parents to give our kids a financial head start. One
Mhm.
of the things that fuels me more than anything is that we should not be starting from step one every generation.
Mhm.
Many of us are making more money than many of our family members have ever seen in our life, right? We
Mhm.
may be one of the first generations who has the disposable or the discretionary income to start giving, to start setting a blueprint, to start leaving that master playbook for our kids, our nieces, our nephews to follow to really build some wealth. And so this is what I'm most passionate about, right? I want to leave instructions, leave a blueprint, leave a playbook so others can follow so we can avoid some of these common financial pitfalls and really start closing this education gap, but also the wealth gap that exists currently in the US.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome mission. It really needed. And yes, we do not want to go through the same issues generation after generation. And so, one of the things that I know that you offer through the Master Playbook are your camps. Can you talk to us a little bit about the camps?
Yeah, so just based off of the warm reception that I received from the book, I created a curriculum and we host future millionaire money camps for kids and teens throughout the year. So our next cohort will begin in June. And this is for, we break it up. So we have kids ages 10 to 13, and then our teens are 14 and up, right? And so this is where we dive in. It's a virtual camp, so anywhere across the United States, anywhere across the world, you can join in, and it's just 4 weeks of 1 hour live sessions where we go into each money habit. They are able to earn awards and prizes for completing the work, but it's really an opportunity to give them a practice, to give them an opportunity to practice. And oftentimes, our awards and incentives are tied to wealth building tools so that they can actually practice the very money habits that we are talking about in the camp. There is a parent component because I know that unless the parents are there to support and reinforce, it can often fall flat, right? So we want to make sure that our parents are involved, they're clued into what we're talking about. So you can take note of the transformation that's happening in your kids as they go through the camp.
And so, what does parent engagement look like? How involved are they? Are they attending the 1 hour sessions or do you give them emails? What does that look like?
So they are emailed. I give them I send them text messages. I make sure there are activities that the kids complete after each session. And so there might be a parent element where they have to walk their parent through their budget, right? And I want to see it on video, right? Or right, or there's a contract that the child has to sign, and the parent has to sign the contract as well, right? So just making sure that they are involved, that they are aware of what's going on and what their kids are learning so that they can help reinforce and also do those things once the far longer beyond the camp being in session.
Right. So, how is it that you keep them engaged and feeling like this is relevant? Particularly, you have little young ones who they're like, that's way off, far from where I am right now. And these concepts may be a little lofty. And then for the teens, where, it's a challenge to keep them engaged at
Yeah,
any moment.
that is exactly why we break it up. So we break it up between 10 and 13 and then 14 and over. And the content is based off of what's relevant to them right now, right? So we're not trying to go over their head. We're making sure we're engaging them. I'm calling on them in the sessions, calling their name, having them participate to make sure they are understanding. But I also know that kids learn differently, right? So there's some activities, there are some, fill in the blanks, some worksheets, right? Some videos that bring in people that they are watching, people that they admire. We bring in current events so that so it's tying into what is actually going on in the world today, right? And so it's very transformative. I've seen kids who have come through our camp as a result of our camp and the things that I ask of them, right? Some of them are opening up their savings account for the very first time. Some of them are trying their hands, starting a business, their age, right? Because I introduce entrepreneurship. I show them kids their age who are
Mhm.
starting businesses and who are having longevity in their businesses, right? To inspire and show them that kids that look like them can actually do this. It is
Mhm.
so achievable, right? You don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to be on TV. You don't have to be ratchet in these streets in order to have some money in your hands,
Yeah.
right? So just showing them the examples, but then but I tie it to their interests. So every child who enrolls in our camp, they fill in their enrollment form. They tell me what are some of the things that they're interested in. And I make sure to layer those things in throughout the camp. Because if you say you're interested in it, guess what? You're going to pay more attention. You're going to be involved. I'm going to help you find ways to tie the things that you're interested in to making money, or what are the things you should be saving for, or where are the places where you could be giving of your time, talent, and treasure, because you said you were interested in this. Now you can change your mind and tell me something else, but I'm going to tie it in a way that keeps them engaged.
Okay, that sounds excellent. Great. So they can go to your website to sign up if they want to or learn more about the camp and sign up, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then can you just say the name of your book again? Someone wants to know the name.
Yes. The book is Teach Your Child to Fish: 5 Money Habits Every Child Should Master. You'll see it in the background. We have the book that's targeted to the parents, but kids, middle school, high school, they can read it. What I've heard some parents do, they have their child read it, and then at the end of every chapter, they give their parent a recap on what they learned. And then they pick an activity that they're going to implement together, right? We also have our workbook, which is the larger blue book that's just filled with templates, activities. So if you have younger ones, I think that would be perfect for them. But it's a great way just to start the conversation, to get them involved. And listen, it's meant to be used as a resource. I want you to add these things to your library so that you can refresh and go back to them time and time again, because every child is going to be ready for something different, right? So as they get older, as they get introduced to gift cards, just as an example, you can then visit the chapter on using credit responsibly, because credit gift cards are just credit cards with training wheels, right? They're teaching our kids how to physically make the exchange, to swipe, dip, and tapping. They're teaching our kids how to keep track of the money that's actually on the card. Our kids learn a quick lesson about taxes when they're using gift cards, right? You can't buy a $20 item with a $20 gift card. You need to have enough to cover the taxes, right? And so talking to our kids about this is so important. And let me tell you why else this is so urgent, Nicole. This
Okay.
is so urgent because our kids, they are moving into a generation where we are getting away from dollars and cents. Not too
Oh,
many people carry cash. Everything is electronic. So
my
what
kids
they
use Apple
lose,
Wallet. Yeah.
Apple Wallet, Apple Pay, Cash App, all the apps are just talking to our kids about how to spend their money. Nobody is talking to them about how to save it, how to invest it. There are a few on the market, right? But we've got to make sure we fill those gaps. We've got to make sure they understand how all this technology works in the background, because what we are losing is that psychological connection between exchanging dollars for a service or for a good, right? The dollar, once you give it up, you're like, ooh, I just spent all that money.
Right. That is one of the principles too. If though for those who've gone through the Dfree program is, use cash and not your card all the time so that you can see that your money is is leaving you.
Right.
So someone has a question. Can my 8 and 9-year-old grandkids and nephew attend camp?
If you think they are ready, the only reason I set it up for 10 to 13, because there is some math involved, right? We talk about compound interest, and I want them to be able to do some basic math and to understand. Some kids are like, well, my kids are gifted. They can understand those things. Or if you think you are going to be actively involved in making sure That's why I set the age limit that I did. But if you think your 9-year-old or your 8-year-old is ready, I'm happy to work with them.
And so what about the auntie who's, their their niece or nephew, they want to put their niece or nephew through the program, but their parents aren't really focused on having them be financially literate and changing their financial trajectory. So how can they participate?
Yep.
And the auntie may not want to make that commitment to participating in the program too.
Well, listen, I welcome the aunties. If the auntie wants to be the point of contact, you most certainly can. Because I do need a parent or guardian to sign off and give permissions, right? So somebody has to take ownership.
Okay,
Somebody
yeah.
has to take ownership because, like I said, there needs to be some reinforcement even beyond, right? I
Mhm.
need to make sure there's an adult who is making sure the kids are showing up, right?
Right,
Who
right.
are giving them, praise and encouragement to complete the assignments as I'm giving them, right?
Mhm.
So I do love that adult element. It can totally be done if you think your child is self-sufficient or independent. My whole thing is I'm trying to plant the seeds, right? I'm planting seeds. Every conversation, every week, we are planting seeds and giving them an opportunity to take on this skill set that they are going to use for a lifetime.
Mhm.
Or if y'all think about it, it's
Indeed.
so important, right? I think financial literacy is just as important as teaching our kids to read or to write. And we put so much emphasis on sports, on athletics, on so many other things, and that's fine. I think that's great. We want a well-rounded kid, but I do run up against people who will prioritize material things over equipping their kids with the skill, with a lifetime skill. And so we've got to shift our mindset so we can start shifting some of these cultural norms to really make that transitional shift that can change the trajectory of our family, of our grandkids, of our great grandkids. And so I know I'm preaching to the choir, but listen, I need some intentional parents who want to give this information to their kids to come and join this movement. We need each and every one of you.
Yeah, no, this is good. I mean, we had you on today because we know that sometimes the adults are focused on getting their financial act together, and it's not always at the forefront to, in real time, work with their kids too. And to that point, for parents who made many financial blunders, who are still trying to get out of debt, who still may be dealing with some of that shame that you talked about. How do they begin to work with their kids when they feel like they're not totally equipped themselves? Like, where do they begin today?
Yeah, I run into this quite a bit. And so, what I tell for anyone who feels like they are in that situation, here's a good thing: you don't need a PhD to talk to your kids about money, right? All you need to do is be a little vulnerable to start sharing some of the things that you have learned, right? I'm not saying go tell them all your business. I'm not saying, get all savvy and tell them the story of how you drug yourself and didn't have no shoe. You can tell them that part, right? You can tell them all those things. But more importantly, tell them what you have learned. Tell them what life lessons or what money lessons you have learned since becoming more aware and taking a step towards getting out of debt, right? And so that might, like I said, that may involve sharing some of the bad, but you can share the bad, just make sure you tie the lesson into the bad, right?
Mhm.
I joke and I'm okay, I'm trying not to tell nobody name. So we have a friend who shared this story with his son
Mhm.
about how in his early 20s his car was repoed, right?
Mhm.
And so, but he was just telling the story about how he was moving the car every day, changing the parking spot, trying to avoid the repo man, right? And everybody's laughing, laughing, laughing. And then I said, "So what was the lesson in all
Right.
this, Dad?" Right? Like, don't tell the lesson, keep telling the lesson. And so we all had a conversation around you got to honor your obligations. You got to be real to yourself. If you take on too much too soon, maybe you bought a car that was more expensive than what you could actually afford. There are consequences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Financial consequences when you aren't able to handle these things, right? So there are always lessons
Right.
in these things that we can laugh about years later, but there is a lesson in it. And so we got to make sure we share that lesson. Don't remove the shame, right? Because if you're feeling shame, then that means you're probably doing something about it. You're probably starting to make different decisions. And so you can start talking about those different choices and different decisions that you are now making to give yourself that financial stability and security.
I love it because basically what you just said is you're enlightened now. So we changed the language. So we're
That's right.
moving away from shame. You're enlightened. You realize now the decisions that you've made weren't the best and you're ready to make new ones. So I love it. I do believe in sharing the some of the negative things that you may have experienced with your children so that they can do better. So I love it. What if people want to connect with you about potential relationships, corporate relationships, or have ideas about how to move forward? Is there an email?
Yeah, so they can email me at Holly, HOLLY, at themasterplaybook.com. So Holly at themasterplaybook.com. You can also visit our website to look at some of the talks that we give across the nation. Follow us on social media. And there's a speaker intake form. So if there's something, if there's an organization or a group of interns that you host and you just want me to come and share some smart money moves that they could be making, whether they're in high school or college age, I am happy to do that. So yes, just reach out and it'll be me answering.
Yeah, okay. And so I see the questions up. So I think we're answering that question now. So if you would like to bring Holly on the road for a road show, whether virtual or in person, you can talk with her in detail about what that looks like and can go from there and work it out, whether it's her materials, whether it's her teaching, or any other ideas she may have. Awesome.
Yes. And I did see somebody ask a question about any books or materials for pre-K to, it was elementary school age, if I saw that correctly. And I personally don't have those resources, but I can point you to some organizations that do. So if you want to shoot me an email, I can send you a link to some of the others that may be able to assist you with some resources for that age group.
Excellent. So thank you. This has been so great. So before we go, let us know what's next for the Master Playbook or what you're doing with your book.
Yeah, so beyond the money camp that we're hosting in June, we are also hosting a 3-day 529 plan challenge. Now, one of my missions as part of the Master Playbook is to help parents understand how they can give our kids a financial head start. And we know with Dfree that student loan debt is one of the bigger things that can really shift and change how our kids financially start off, right?
Can you just explain to folks, not everyone may know what a 529 plan is.
So a 529 plan is an investment tool that allows you to save for your kids' educational expenses, right? And one of the, it is more popularly considered when you're thinking about your kids going to college. But what a lot of people don't know is that the 529 plan can also be used for K through 12 expenses. So I have,
I did not know that.
I think have their kids in private school, and it can help pay for up to, I think, $10,000 worth of private school tuition. So there's so many things, and so because of this, because not a lot of people know the intricate details, the benefits, even the cons. Like, what are the cons against investing in a 529 plan? I am hosting a 3-day challenge where if you decide that it's a good fit for you, we will talk about the 529 plan, and then there'll be an opportunity for you to open one up, right? You'll open up a 529 plan and fund it in the month of May. All right. Mm-hmm. So if you guys just want to follow me across social media at the Master Playbook, you'll begin to start seeing me promote that 3-day challenge where we'll open up a 529 plan together. You'll also see more information about our Future Millionaire Money Camp for Kids and Teens, where I welcome you guys to enroll them, and we can start planting these seeds together.
That's excellent. I think sharing information about 529 plans are just it's just an excellent way to go. And I think providing that support where you're walking them through the process is great. One of the things too, I believe the 529 plans are also available for those who want to go to trade school or other alternative institutions other than college. So it's not just for those who are college bound, but if your child moves on to get further education,
think dental school, think HVAC, think cosmetology. If your kids know they don't want to go pursue a college degree, but they do want to pick up a trade, then think electrician, right? All of those things, as long as it's an accredited program, you too can put money aside for that.
Excellent. So this is great. So again, people can follow you at which channels?
The Master Playbook across all social media networks.
All of them.
You guys, I see a lot of people on Facebook, on YouTube. I'm on YouTube at the Master Playbook, Facebook, Instagram,
X.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Twitter, formerly known as Twitter. Okay, so awesome. Any last words you want to leave us with before we say farewell for now?
I just want to say this. Every child deserves a financial education, right? It is not about what I want to see happen more than anything else is that we leave a playbook. We leave some instructions on what our kids need to be doing in order to build financial stability, security, and ultimately financial wealth. Being a part of this Dfree community, you're already in the right place. They have so many great resources. They have so many experts and people who are skilled at this, where you don't have to know everything. Just tune in. Tune in to Nicole, tune in to Dr. Torres, tune in to Dfree, and they will give you exactly what you need. Listen, that's how y'all are meeting me today, right? So I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity. And I look forward to just continuing to support the work that you are doing.
Oh, thank you for that. That was awesome. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge our sponsors, Prudential, who help us get the word out to you through events and through programming like this. And anyone can access a free financial advisor or a conversation to help you get started at the link that's going across your screen right now. So that's it. There you have it. That's another edition of Ask the Expert. Visit with us next week, same time, same place. All right. Bye.